What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Do you have that certain product in mind that you kind of want another person's truck to try it out on first? Well, that's what we're doing today. I've got a Ram 1500. It's a 2015, and we're installing the mictuning wheel light kit. And I'm gonna see if I actually wanna maybe potentially install this one day on my Trail Boss. In the kit, you're gonna get 4 ring lights. These are the 15.5-inch diameter, and then you're gonna get the controller. So we'll mount this under the truck somewhere, and you can also wire up your turn signals, your brake lights, and then you'll have Bluetooth capability to change the different colors. So how do you determine what size wheel light to go with? You wanna grab you a tape measure after you take the tire off and measure the diameter starting at the caliper over the rotor, and we're sitting at around 14.5 inches. So the 15.5-inch wheel light should work perfectly. So let me grab this caliper off and I'll show you where you need to install it on the dust cover. Once you take the caliper off, you need to take the rotor off and then put the caliper back on. That way you can adjust it accordingly. So I've kind of been messing with this, and the brackets they send are these. There's a little spot right here on the dust cover that kind of protrudes out. So I'm actually gonna mount this bracket on the back side so it's a smooth surface. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to use it that way. And the reason I say unfortunately is because when you go to do a brake job, you're gonna actually have to take this off because we're not able to use it this way because it hits the tie rod right here. So I'm gonna flip this around, and this is kinda how it's gonna mount right about in this location. I do recommend getting you a 1/4-inch piece of foam and putting it around the caliper because you're supposed to have a minimum of a 1/4-inch gap between the wheel light and the caliper. In the package, they send out 5 of these brackets per wheel. I'm just gonna use 4, and then I'm gonna also use 2 screws. Now they send 20 screws in the package, but that's not enough. That's just 1 screw, but I wanna put 2 screws in here to secure it a little bit more to that dust cover. All right, I finished the first one. Don't mind that extra hole there. That was my mistake, but it seems like it is actually lining up pretty well. So I'm going to put another one here, another one kind of down this way, and then another one over here. All the brackets are mounted, so you've got the one on top, one right there, and then we were able to put one there, and here on the bottom, we put it down right there. As far as the caliper, it definitely is close, but it is within the minimum range. So the unfortunate thing is, now that we have it installed, we have to take it back off, take the caliper back off, put the rotor back on, and then we can reinstall the light. But that's how you install it properly on the bracket locations. Now that I've got the rotor and caliper back on, you want to take the long screws that are provided in the kit, and then you want to take the lock washer and the nut and secure that just like this. Stick that through there. So I will say I went and picked up some lock nuts because I actually prefer those more, but you can use what came in the kit. You can see that everything's secure. I've got all the brackets tightened and we're good to go as far as wiring on this one. So I took the tie wraps right here on the brake line and went up to the frame, and I ran it through the frame. I'm not gonna finish up the wiring right now. I've got to find a location for that controller. I'm gonna move on to the back and then finish up the other side, and I'll show you where everything ends up. All right, guys, so I've got the back one done on the dust cover. I had to go with the bracket on the front on the back here because this actually goes inside right here, so we wanted a flat surface. So for some reason it was really hard lining this back one up. I had to actually take and modify 2 of the brackets and trim off about a 1/2 inch of 2 of them in order to have a gap right here enough that I feel comfortable with between the caliper and the wheel light. Now it is pretty close, but that is the best option I could do. So this one on this side is pretty close to that dust cover, but it's behind the rotor. So there's no way that rotor is gonna hit that wheel light. I'll give you a close-up of that gap right there where the caliper is and the wheel light. And here's the mounting location on the bottom. And here's the modifications I made right here, a close-up of those. Then there's the other one going up top. And then our last one mounted right there on top. So there's where they all ended up. I'm gonna go ahead and piece this wheel back together, jump on the other side, and then we'll get to the wiring. For the connection to the battery, I ran the wire straight down that way, and then it ended up under the truck, under the front driver's side fender well. For the turn signal, I spliced into the back taillights in order to get that connection. All the wiring ended up right here on this plate under the truck in order for all the wires to reach the wheel lights. And then I ran all the wiring for the turn signals and brake lights from here and the connection to the battery. Well, those lights look really cool on the truck. One thing you need to know is the brake lights actually work with the turn signal wiring. You can have them amber or you can have them red. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit the thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do so. Until next time, see y'all.